And welcome back. Extreme weather events like millions just experienced with Hurricane Ian are adding new urgency to the fight against climate change.
Yeah, clean energy like nuclear power is critical to reining in carbon emissions. But of course, those plans also come with serious concerns.
NBC senior legal and investigative correspondent Cynthia McFadden is here with an investigation into some troubling issues. Hi, Cynthia. Good morning.
Hey, Cynthia.
Good morning, everybody. Well, first concern, the nation's nuclear plants are old. Out of 92 reactors, only 3 are under 30. The question this morning, are they still safe?
For 50 years, Turkey Point has powered one of the nation's most iconic cities, Miami. But much of what makes it special also makes it especially vulnerable. Imagine if Hurricane Ian had brought his 150-mile-an-hour winds and 15-foot storm surges here. Would this aging nuclear power plant be a danger to the community it serves or a frontline defense in the fight against climate change? We spoke with Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm.
The president has this goal of getting to 100% clean electricity by 2035. Nuclear plays a very important part.
Can we get to that goal without nuclear energy?
No, it's a very important piece of the solution.
But Greg Yatsko, the former chair of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission under President Obama, no longer sees it that way and says the Biden administration is making a mistake.
I used to believe that nuclear power risks were theoretical until I dealt with the nuclear accident in Japan.
An earthquake and a tsunami in 2011 caused 3 reactors at the coastal Fukushima nuclear power plant to melt down, leaving 120 square miles of land that may well be uninhabitable for generations.
We have to stop pretending accidents aren't going to happen. We have to be honest and talk about them, be candid about it.
It's game over for this region if we get this wrong.
Local environmentalists like Rachel Silverstein, a marine biologist, agree with Yatsko and have challenged Turkey Point's license.
We're very concerned that Turkey Point is cutting corners and is not doing all of the assessments that it needs to do to run this plant into the future safely.
Florida Power and Light strongly disagrees, pointing out the plant survived Hurricane Andrew, a Category 5, 30 years ago. But some scientists worry climate change will make storms harder for aging plants to withstand. In fact, since the plant was built in 1967, the sea level here has gone up 8 inches, and it's accelerating.
While the nuclear core is elevated, the surrounding area around the plant is not. The roads in and out are not.
Nevertheless, the power company told us Turkey Point is elevated about 18 feet, and they're ready to operate for 30 more years. But by then, 6 federal agencies project Turkey Point will be surrounded by 3 feet of water at least once a year.
You can't operate a nuclear plant if it's an island.
Another issue, aging reactors are at risk of embrittlement. That's when the metal that contains the nuclear core degrades as it's bombarded with radiation over the years. A crack could be catastrophic. So, metal tabs were inserted into reactors like Turkey Point's to be tested for safety. But Turkey Point hasn't tested a tab for 20 years, although they have one left.
I'm living downwind of this thing. I want to see the tests.
South Miami resident Phil Stoddard was the town's mayor and lives within the plant's evacuation zone.
Test the darn thing and tell me.
The NRC told NBC News that testing the tabs is not necessary, as mathematical models are good enough.
Does this frighten you?
It makes me nervous enough that I keep enough potassium iodine in stock for every child and pregnant woman in my city.
Potassium iodide is a very sensible preparation, something that most communities provide around nuclear power plants.
You're scaring me.
The more that you talk about it and people understand it, the more that there's a recognition of the trade-offs with this technology.
And then there's what to do about the 1,500 metric tons of radioactive waste that's stored at Turkey Point.
You look at the satellite images of where those are stored right next to Biscayne Bay.
Yeah, no.
You kind of gulp and say, let's
gotta
hope.
Move them. Gotta move them. Yep.
Gotta move them.
Yep.
But the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, whose chair was appointed by President Biden, has made no such demand. We pressed Secretary Granholm about where the waste could go. For decades, the Department of Energy has failed to find a place to store it.
We're going to do it.
You're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
You're going to look me in the eye and say, in the next 3 years?
That's the hope, is that we will have a place identified.
Meanwhile, about 90,000 metric tons of radioactive waste are being stored at power plants in 33 states. Silverstein says now is the time to act.
There really isn't a plan for sea level rise. It's kind of like, well, we'll deal with that when it becomes an issue. And it's like, okay, well, when does it become an issue? After something has happened, or today when we know that it's coming?
Well, Turkey Point tells us it's ready for natural disasters, stronger than the region has ever seen, though they declined an interview with us. They believe they can operate safely until they are 80 years old, something no plant has ever done before. Now, Secretary Granholm says plants could operate until they are 90. The NRC declined our request for an interview as well, but told NBC News that sea level rise occurs so slowly, there is ample time to address it.
Well, that seems like an optimistic view. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.